This conference will now be recorded.
Are you there?
Yes, right here.
Are you there? And Jennifer, can you hear us? I don't know. Can she hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I don't know who the last person is. All right. We'll get started with the work session this evening before we have our public hearing next week on the major site plan review for the fuel island at Madison Foods. Which thing? That thing? That thing? Then we're going to go through a work session, kind of answer Q&A, anything, so we can all kind of be on the same page and ready for public hearing. So it's been submitted. We've already had our staff report. Council's had 4 staff reports since June 2nd. And now we're kind of just going through anything in that or any additions, comments. You have a copy of Forrest as well. So I guess you guys can give us the overview of it in case we're missing anything, but I don't think we're missing anything at this point. He's like, I got this.
We've got fancy little.
Look at those.
We don't want to hand you little papers anymore.
All right.
If you don't mind, I can pass them around. So.
Perfect. Whoa. All right.
We've got paper copies too.
But I was getting so good at the magnifying thing.
That one is. So also here's this. This is what the fuel center will. It's being modeled after this one that was actually built.
Okay. Like, ooh. Pictures.
Okay, so
I'm losing my orientation again.
I don't know if you want me to stand over here.
Oh yeah, Mike,
All right.
or nobody can hear you.
Turn the mic on.
Maybe. Lights on. We're home.
All right, I am not on yet. I am.
You are.
Okay. Jared Mitchell from Associated Food Stores, helping Chris with the construction management of the project. So what you're looking at here is the fuel center site plan for the fuel center as it relates to our master site plan that we presented in our last meeting. This site plan has gone through, so we've gone through our approvals with, or our reviews with MDOT, DOT, and also DEQ as it relates to drainage, storm drainage, all of that. So really looking for, we're excited. We appreciate you guys considering this and reviewing this. If there's any questions we can answer for you on how or why it's laid out the way that it is, I'm happy to answer any of those questions.
Mostly that was mine, I guess, was the drainage, because that was in the staff report, making sure that there was appropriate drainage, but where you've gone.
Yeah, and we've got the approval letter. We're completely through DEQ now, so we've got their stamped copies. If you want a copy of that, we've got that on hand.
Was the fuel island part of the plans that you see?
Yes.
So what was the recommendation for storm drainage? Or I didn't see any.
I guess as far as
For the fuel island section, because we'd already looked at that.
so it was reviewed as one overall master plan with DEQ. We've got Sean Young on as well. He is the civil engineer for this project, and maybe I'll defer that question to him if I can.
Yes.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, so the storm water, so what we're doing is we're isolating the canopy.
So you'll see there's a concrete waterway where everything will drain towards the west. The waterway will capture the water and convey it to an underground chamber system. But prior to entering the underground chamber system, we'll be installing an oil water separator to help eliminate any hydrocarbons from being discharged into the groundwater table.
That's about it. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
What's that?
No, they-
Yes,
they
there's
don't
leak.
discharge.
Sean, there's built-in leak detection into the system, right?
Yes, there's a lot of redundancies as far as leak detection. The moment the sensors identify a leak, it will shut off the system. Alarms will start going off. The alarm systems will be located inside the grocery store, so everybody in the not everybody, but within the offices of the grocery store will start seeing alarms going off as far as a leak. So, but it will automatically shut off.
So the drain that's the type that has to be serviced, correct? Like cleaned, pumped?
Yes.
Or is it-
Well, it's an underground chamber system, and the way we've designed it, it's going to be it's a fairly easy system to clean. The chambers are actually wrapped in filter fabric, so it really helps. There won't be like any sediment being introduced into the groundwater.
Gotcha. That was my major concern. And then, so are you keeping the existing landscaping that's at the entrance? You know what, the pretty trees that are already there? Is all that staying?
Sean, can you show them what most of that is going away?
Yeah, almost all of it's going to be going away in order to accommodate a dry bile. So at this point, yes, all of those plantings will be removed.
Is this 24-hour service? The pumps?
The pumps open 24 hours. Yeah.
Self-serve.
So we've tried to maintain as much of the landscaping in the buffer between the highway and the parking lot as possible, but in putting the bike path back in there, obviously that takes up a portion of
Just say it's all.
the yes, all the existing landscaping is going away. We've got Sean, we're still maintaining zero scape between the highway and the parking lot, correct?
Zero scape, but like I
Zero
said,
scape.
at this point in time, there's limited planting materials, if any. That's going to be mainly it's going to be decorative rock.
And part of that is also because obviously there's a limited supply of water as well. We want a development that isn't water heavy as well. So that's led some of the decisions with that.
But hardscaping.
Hardscape.
Do you have any idea what that's gonna look like? The hardscaping?
Sean, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, really, when we use decorative rock, it's going to be a variation of different rock colors. The diameter of the rock's probably going to be anywhere between 2 inches to 1 inches. And it's just going to be a ground cover. So not necessarily a hardscape in the sense that it's not impermeable. Storm water will still be able to percolate in the ground really well. But yeah, so you can do variations in rock color to make it look more decorative. And that's something we can definitely consider. But as Jared pointed out, water conservation was also huge on our minds on this one too. So
But there's no vertical aspect to it, so we're losing all that vertical and then.
yeah, I mean, correct. Not all the trees will be removed.
Okay.
It's all going away, but not all the trees will be removed.
understand that.
No, well, maybe you misheard me. All of the trees will be removed. The only trees that are remaining are the pine trees that are separating the lodge further to the south. All of those
Yeah.
pine trees will remain in place.
Lost one, I think.
Oh, down here,
It was dead way before we even started. Noticed it when I drove by.
Has there been a traffic study done?
Yes, yeah, we were required to get one by DOT. I don't know if you have a copy. We can make it available for sure.
Can you let us know what that is and changes made on 287 before all this happened, if any?
Yeah, Sean, do you want to maybe give a quick run through of the adjustments we're making on the highway?
Yeah, so the Department of Transportation is requiring that we widen the highway in order to accommodate a left turn lane into the development. As we widen the highway, it will unfortunately wipe out the existing trail system, but we are wanting to put it back. So we'll be relocating the trail further to the west. Same material, same width. That's also currently being reviewed by the DOT right now, the trail system. But we have gone through all of the review processes, so the DOT has no further comments on our plans. We are scheduled on the agenda for August 24th for their final approval. If their commission approves it on the 24th, then we should be good to go with the road widening.
And widening the actual highway, not just the driveway, or not just the.
Your mic's not on. Usually what that helps us out.
And you're widening the actual highway, not just the entrance. off
That's
285.
correct. The whole highway would be widened, at
But
least
it's
for
only-
about 1,600 feet. So
Is that a left-hand turn lane?
Correct.
This is
Seems like-
Commissioner Hardy. I was just curious what length of vehicle you guys will be able to service. Like, will this be servicing semis?
the fuel center won't be able to accommodate semis, but they will be able to accommodate RVs or vehicles with trailers.
How are they gonna get in there to fill them, the tanks? It doesn't accommodate a semi.
It does, yeah, for servicing, for filling the fuel, it'll take a semi in, just like our grocery store. And I've got that drawing as well, if you'd like to see how it circulates in through there. But for a semi to come in and fill, it's not meant to fill a traveling semi.
Will there be signs stating that?
They don't even have the capacity, like it's a normal gas station. So most truckers realize that the typical dispenser is not adequate to service a semi truck. At this point, there's no signage, but and about probably 200 or 300 of these that we've done, I don't think we've ever placed a sign that says no semis.
So there's an entrance to the north or an entrance and exit to the north. There's no left turn lane there though.
Correct. The DOT is wanting us to put a sign saying no left turns leaving that north entrance.
No left turn leaving the entrance north, right here. The existing? No. Or is that yeah, right?
Yes, it's an existing access point that's currently full access.
There'll be
The
no
full
left
access-
turn out there.
There will be no left turns. The DOT doesn't want a left turn in and out of that access point.
I think it's just gonna be so congested that nobody can get out of there at the one exit. It's gonna back all the way up to.
That's DOT.
On this drawing, C5.1, I see, if I'm seeing it right, coming out of the parking lot.
Yes, you can make a right turn out and you can make a right turn in. You just cannot make a left turn in or a left turn out.
There's an arrow there indicating there's 3 lanes.
At the main entrance that we're installing, the new
Yeah.
access will have full access.
The existing access that's next to the dollar store. That's what Sean is referring to. That's what Sean is referring to there.
Too bad we couldn't make all that 25 miles per hour.
Correct.
But no left-hand turn.
Yeah, correct.
Using the existing.
Everybody, right?
Left turn pocket.
I will note that regardless of whether the fuel station goes in or not, these access points will be installed as shown on the plans, as that was part of the original design with the grocery store.
Yeah, what you're looking at here is what has been basically determined for us by DOT.
You're at the fuel island and you want to leave, you have to leave by going around that little particular island in the grocery park area, which pinches down, and then you have people coming in from the highway, not letting you get into the left turn lane.
Yeah,
You
you get.
have to go out like that, but people are coming in right there, so that doesn't look very feasible, really.
Do you follow where we're talking, Sean?
No, I couldn't hear his conversation.
Yeah, so it's the outermost island, kind of center island, as we're approaching the closest to the fuel center. There's that radiused island that if we're leaving, they're saying if they're leaving the parking lot there out towards the highway, just the proximity to that to the entrance with cars coming in.
From the furniture store and the gas station, have to cross over the entrance to the new grocery store. That's just a recipe for disaster there. Congestion, especially if you have a motor. The same type of entrance in the existing driveway to the store now would have to be both turns.
Well, it looks like you can
You have
exit.
one way out, it's crossing over traffic coming in.
No, you can go by the drive-through line. Looks like there's 3 ways.
Yeah, out the back.
To the northeast of the pumps where you came in. Go out and
Only to the
right.
right.
Not to the left, though.
Only to the
No, you
right.
can only turn right.
So there's 2 rights and 1 left, and you have to cross over the entrance to go left.
David, is any of this
Oh,
going
and
to
at the back.
positively or negatively impact the pond that sits there in wetlands to the east of the existing store? What do you feel about that?
Part of the DEQ process too was figuring out the drainage that for when we do some additional work around once Chris and them are out, but there is another drainage.
There's a resolution that's
Yes.
going to happen,
Yes.
not just recommended, but gonna happen.
Yeah, at some point we've got to deal with that, exact date, but yes, it's part of the
We've got to go
DEQ
through
plans.
that process. We have to have a plan forward of what we're going, stormwater drainage and everything before we can even, which we've already done.
Yeah, so yeah, DEQ made us account for all the lots, even though Chris's the portion that is being sold, we had to design stormwater and all that for that too. Well, it's I mean the it's just as they develop out that side, yes. The DEQ approval is good for, it's got a time limit of 3 years on it before it has to be resubmitted and re-reviewed if it doesn't happen within that time frame.
But it doesn't have to be done. It just has to be resubmitted if it isn't done.
Yeah, if it is not started within the 3 years, then we have to resubmit for that design.
But Maria, that is something that I will address fairly early on, just because.
More attractive for what we're doing. Right now, with that water, we don't want to tear up the parking lot. Right now, that it's plugged. We've had that. We know that. We're taking on the additional storm water from Family Dollar. And that's what, that all erosion that's in there that's plugged that thing. And when we put our water in, they're gonna dig that out. And that's being done when it hooks up into the city water, which should be fairly soon.
Will the existing cabins or housing out there also be connected to the city at the same time?
Yeah, that's our last one. So is the canopy gonna be lit like this one?
Yeah, it will be.
And maybe it's just the angle of it that looks, I think it is. Because we have the downcast lighting as a requirement. And
We don't have dark sky ordinance.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. This is what the canopy, this is what the it's not Conoco, but the fuel company gave us as kind of a direct representation of what it is. But obviously they're going to be submitting for their permits. So they're going to be complying with any specific city ordinances that you have, like dark sky. So it's a representation of what it's going to be. But if obviously your specific requirements are going to
Is it Conoco?
adjust that.
Is it Conoco gas station though?
Yeah.
It is a.
okay. So that's gonna be probably laid out there, but it's pretty much in the staff report adhering to all ordinances, because that was one of my main concerns. Seeing that.
Then Sean already did some adjustments to the canopy height
Yep.
and whatnot
To meet ordinance, yeah, on the first submission. I know it changed.
Is this right?
Is there any way that we can use this opportunity? You said there was the erosion between the Family Dollar, that part, and I can totally see where that, to create, where we're losing our landscaping and putting this in, and this is in the T&D, this does not feel in any way traditional Ennis to me. And that's just because I have this nice concrete pad with this really bright light right now, and I'm picturing that right next to our concrete barriers that are dividing. A way to tie this in so that it feels, how do my kids put it? When you go into Rosars, that part's pretty and there's other parts that aren't. And they've used that opportunity of retaining walls and brick. And we don't have to go all out crazy with plants, but there's amazing rock around here. We need some kind of not commercialized to the extent of sterilized look. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I don't know what not a landscaper, but
It makes me sick to lose those mature trees.
so we need something to pull it together so that it still feels like home, like it still feels small. I don't want this to turn into, it has a very Billings sterile feel to me. And where it's laying in the T&D, it needs, if we're taking out all those trees and stuff, it needs something.
Soften it. It's harsh.
I don't know what the answer is.
Is there anything that we can do there, Sean? On the side of the Family Dollar, is that what you're talking about on that, where it's eroded there?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
There's
I guess the question is, the erosion's a completely different issue than putting in a retaining wall. So the fact that they're illegally discharging stormwater onto you is a totally different problem in and of itself. And it's more of a code compliance issue, something that the onus should be on Family Dollar to resolve. But there are other options besides that area to enhance your site if you wanted to do more decorative landscaping. So we would need direction from the city code as to what the requirements are for landscaping in this area.
Susie, in the T&D. That's where it's at. We have the sidewalk now, so that's going to be closer in. So that's where the landscaping gets eaten up. But this feels a lot like paved paradise.
It looks like four corners.
Especially with those campgrounds.
Well, it's not gonna have that building behind it.
You could introduce some kind of like
Not
wall
the
or
same.
something to or something like that to, not entrance, but just some kind of fencing or something to utilize our logs or what's called rock. Reference of the water.
There's giant granite to work with. There's a lot of local materials that are.
And we want low maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, just something wood.
Yeah.
Some kind of material, color, soft.
And then what would we have? We also have to follow DOT requirements of what we can have within so much distance of the highway.
Here's that. Susie, start a T&D. Off the top of your head? No? Come on. That's why I don't like the T&D. It's very. It's all that. No, it's all that. It's all the requirements. She'll give me that, and maybe there is something actually in there that I missed on the landscaping. I missed it. We were removing part of it. I should have caught it though with the trail.
How are the, Chris?
Hmm?
How are the delivery trucks gonna get out once they, driving in, I see the path.
It's not gonna go
Is
away.
there a transition? No. I'm trying to, this is for your trees.
We'll have all these three-story condos in here.
So they move the car and go out. They can back out, back out this way.
Back around the corner.
Tip ups, yeah. Sorry.
That's a giant tree. Is that not even feasible?
No, they're just showing. And they'll back off.
because when you are winding out the highway, it's widening out, so it's gonna wipe out the cross one, and then we put it back in. So that's where the landscaping, a lot of that left, was because of having to put the sidewalk back. So it comes back closer.
Can it not just go behind the trees though? And
Not without wiping out the park, because I think you got this building and stuff.
Come in here. They just come out here. Come in here, but you have to.
That was one of the problems with widening the road, is it was taking more space, obviously.
We did. And really, like the parameters, the first one is what I was thinking.
Where are you?
7 on here. This is actually so big.
Yep.
Maria, you need to watch.
So it doesn't give us exact parameters in the T&D overlay, but it says the first one is design quality. And it says the quality of site, landscaping, structures viewed in context with the proposed project, compatibility with its immediate surroundings and with the town's unique character shall be a primary criteria by which the acceptability of all T&D proposals shall be measured. So it's stating that that is important to the town and the people of the town, that the context of its surroundings needs to fit. And right now, and maybe it's just my opinion, this does not fit. It makes it feel very
Sterile.
big city.
Yeah.
It's sterile.
Is there no reason the sidewalk can't go behind the trees?
There's no way to save those trees. The trees fall directly within the asphalt pavement for the fuel
Okay.
center. And the trail system needs to be within the public right of way, and we've set it currently right on the property line.
So there's got to be a solution somehow.
This is Commissioner Hardy. I'm definitely equally kind of surprised that that those trees are going to be removed, and the T&D area, as the description was just read, is kind of an arbitrary definition. I mean, it just kind of leaves it open for interpretation because it does quote unquote kind of need to fit in. And I guess where I'm going, I'm not able to see the actual layout that you guys are looking at there, but I was just curious, like, as far as like what the bike trail surface is proposed to be made out of. I'm assuming it's all just going to be asphalt and painted lines on it, and or will there be vehicular traffic crossing over top of that bike path?
Corey,
Yes.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's like the existing.
Yeah, what's
but it
there today?
ends. They're extending it past where it is. Oh, Nikki's.
Okay.
Can I send him a picture?
Yeah.
Of the diagram we're looking at.
Perfect.
Nice. I guess my immediate thought, being a professional problem solver, is that you make the bike trail out of a different substrate, I guess, like wood or something that's a little bit softer, if you will. But yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So the DOT did point out that the city has already come into a maintenance agreement with the DOT to maintain that trail system. So you could install wood. However, the town of Ennis has to maintain that in a manner in which bikes and pedestrians won't become a safety issue. So there's a lot more maintenance with wood than there would be with asphalt.
Can't really plow wood.
What, so and Sean kind of mentioned this before. We as well, we want it to be something that the town is proud of. We want it to be something that the residents are proud of as well. So from a sterile nature, we would like it to be, something that accommodates the town, and protects the look and feel that the town has. So we can come up with some options. I guess, where are the biggest concerns along the bike path or along Family Dollar, or both? I mean, obviously the sky could be the limit with recommendations, and that's not an option. But we're trying to meet.
Primary concern would be on the east side on 287.
Along 287.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe it's like some wood sitting benches or something to that effect that softens up the area. We're willing to try and think up some solutions, but we're trying to operate and navigate within the code that's written, and obviously be as conscious as we can to a budget as well. So
Personally, as a member of the public, I've heard lots of positive about Fuel Island project. I've heard nothing but negative relating to any removal of landscape, and now I'm learning it's all gonna go away. So personally, something vertical, something green.
The trees.
I can't imagine sitting on a bench looking at that highway.
I don't know if they
I mean,
have
I'm
a
not trying to
bench
be
on the
sarcastic,
highway,
It'd be
Who's
100
gonna sit
degrees
on the
too. I
bench
mean, you
and
couldn't
carry
sit there
a
with
grocery
straight.
bill, you gotta get home.
Not a
and take
chance.
rest. And, that's not out of the question, but something to take the stark change and put some appeal to it. There are tall, narrow trees. There are drip systems. You don't have to have the expansive lawn that's currently out there. But you're gonna wipe out a 20-plus-year-old landscape.
A bench with all the asphalt, it's gonna be 100 degrees. Nobody can even sit and enjoy the bench. And why would you in the middle of concrete jungle? So
You also gotta keep in mind is the drifting of the snow.
Mhm.
And to ask this group to design it or to participate in the design. We don't have the dimensions, we're not the professional, or they're not the professionals, they don't have the dimensions. Your engineers, your architects, landscape architect know what the possibilities are in terms of area to do make some change to that. And bring forth a rendering of something that's green.
was it maybe talked about? Like, I mean, that's kind of a big deal to cut down all those trees. Was there not an alternative, or from the get-go, it was like, big deal, cut the trees down?
No, in no way was it not a big deal. I mean, we love trees and greenscape as well, but they're in a position right now that just does not accommodate what the development was going to do, unfortunately. Well, and I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
Some municipalities, there's ordinances where you cut a tree down, you have to plant so-and-so more replacement. I know you can say water issues. But, even, I know there's not ordinances here for that, but as a courtesy, I would think it would be something that should be based on what was read, that would be a primary concern designing the fuel island to maintain some of that character that we're talking about. I know it's between a bike trail and a fuel island. Something could be solved, but I think as far as engineering layout, somehow. It would be a historic thing to happen, and it's a guarantee. I support the grocery store all the way. Losing trees.
maybe we can work with Sean and maybe come up with some options in there to what we could do in there. Seems to be like where we're headed. Cause I mean, you guys can't tell us. I mean, what are the specific, that you would like to see? That's what I mean. Can you tell us what you would like to see? And you just said, something vertical, something green.
I'm thinking vertical. I'm looking at your new, I don't know what the term is, gigs, kicks, outfits. That's a very, almost everybody in town, you're seeing their roofs go towards this tint color. Your nice auburn. I've seen really great rock that's, and even concrete that you can stain into that color and press into a rock pattern. So you can still break it up so it doesn't have that, you know what I'm talking about, Billings feel. And then pull in, your touch of green on your hoodie's got your little leaf, it's got the thing. Even it, to pull in an entranceway, a little bit of vertical with that color, I think it's gonna pull it more together as that traditional small feel than that commercial, we're going big time feel.
And I would like to see new trees.
And I don't know if that's,
Or something green.
Something to draw their eye.
With a drip
away
line, it
from
would be
that.
efficient.
I know, where are we getting the water? You guys are drinking a well.
Yeah, we've had to abandon the well that's right there to service that. What's servicing that landscape that's there today?
we had the one on lot,
Where the hydrant was, right?
why am I so lost right now?
Drip irrigation.
Is the widening-
Three.
The widening of the highway has to happen if there's fuel pumps or not.
Regardless, yeah.
Yes.
Regardless, that has to happen. So
The trail has to be moved regardless.
Yeah.
So it's going to take that no matter what. So existing well is here. And it isn't one of the conditions because we couldn't put conditions on this lot at the previous. So we've not done anything to act against that well. So if it's in the benefit of the T&D, is there any objections to leaving the well? There's no way there's no highway. You see what I'm saying? That's an Eric question. Well or no well?
Can you say that one more time?
There's an existing well on the east side of this property. And on the plans that were submitted, I reviewed forever ago, it said going to abandon well. And I think that was primarily based on the major site plan review,
Yeah.
sorry. So, and that affects any future thought of irrigation because this lot's not serviced by water. There's no water going additions sewer to this lot on the fuel islands. So the only existing water is the well that's that mostly northeast corner of this lot.
Will there be any water or air at the fuel islands?
No water.
Will any of them be diesel?
how'd you decide on 10?
That is what because we did a feasibility study, and that is what Conoco told us. They actually came back with 6 for us, and we couldn't accommodate 6, so we put 5.
So. Well, no well. I'm back to my landscaping debacle.
East wells.
What?
Are you talking east wells or west?
The one that is right here.
Along the highway.
Along the
Yes.
highway, yeah.
We couldn't do anything with that well. Especially if the fuel island is put in.
Is it salvageable if the fuel island isn't there?
So the well would be available for irrigation?
Too close to that.
So that well would be available for irrigation at the site
If they use it.
if they chose to use it?
to go back, because in the last agreement, you would hold it off, so you'd have to go back and retract that. 'Cause you had
That was the
drained
one
well.
on the
That was the west wells.
west
There was 3
well.
wells on there, you took 2 of them, yeah, 2 of them.
The west well. We can only, on a major site plan review, you can only do the ones on that site. So it was only on the lot. Why? I need papers. Lot numbers. 2? Is it 2, 3, 1?
3.
3.
3 is lot 3 is the grocery store.
This is what you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on
So
lot
you
3,
never did-
those wells.
You never did anything about that,
Yes, correct. Because you can't.
because it wasn't in front of you to do anything.
Exactly. I'm just trying to come up with the space is tight and to still meet all the parking requirements. I mean, you don't want to put landscaping in the middle of that. We've seen how people run over that real great. Just check out the signs in the north border. Yeah, this makes it way easier to maintain. So trying to find a pocket to maintain. There's something over here, right? But that's on that other one. Not obscuring view. So is this,
So what about like sculptures and?
Isn't this the sidewalk?
this is the sidewalk. So what's in here
What's
right
in
here? What's in here? What's in here? So this is our bike path, right? That I'm getting? So what's in here? What is this?
That's probably just a narrow.
Is that the zero scape area between the parking lot and the sidewalk? That's the area that's going to be zero scaped with stone. Yeah.
So that's what I would do, is create, like I said, in there. That's your landscaping area that's zero scaped, and go to something that's a little more than zero scaped. And it doesn't have to be.
Can you show me where the well is on that?
If we have our well, I have no problem with doing green in there at all.
I have no idea how wide that is.
Would you want, say if we can get the water into there reasonably, which it sounds like we can, would you want to see that as green, or would you want to see like zero scape with planters, or something that's a little bit more conservative on the water but still providing vertical and green and color? Yeah.
I think trees. Doesn't need to be grass.
How do you do that area? Is it in the whole scheme of things? Is it really gonna make a difference? We're gonna have lights?
I think it will though. It does. It creates a visual break.
3 times the width of a sidewalk.
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Is it gonna set a precedent
Sorry.
going forward for future projects
She's got it. I don't have one here.
what you read about the landscaping, keeping with the town and?
No, that's why I think this is actually important. I think that's why it's kind of a critical.
And surprising that it's gotten this far and come to us when that is in our.
It's just hard because there's not this like perfect checkbox guidelines. It's a very open T&D.
Yeah.
So, and with the concerns about the water,
They're from Billings, they don't care.
with the thought of not having water to it, I can see how this was the easiest option. But I don't think the best.
There was water and it was never at fire, was it?
It's like a plan A and a plan B. They went with what precedent was set with the last one. They have nice vertical here, and I think that will overall, especially with the loss, keep an overall better feel. So do we agree that the well would kind of be, I mean, it's not a set in stone vote, but if you left the well, then you can have landscaping there.
Is it usable with the fuel islands right on top of the well?
Not for us.
Not for us, but for them even, which
It's absolutely.
is that DOT standards? I mean,
One is too close to the highway.
if they did, oh, okay.
That's the main, like it's a dead well as far as a municipality. And it doesn't violate anything in the code because the wells are usable for irrigation.
Sean, was there in DEQ's review, do you recall, was there a proximity issue with that well for any type of use with its proximity to fuel?
Proximity wasn't an issue. The issue was is they had, it's approved right now as if we're abandoning the well. So the state of Montana right now is under the assumption that this well will be abandoned. So we would need to go back and get permission to not abandon this well. The coast even says that the well will be abandoned.
The COSA that, so DEQ put the COSA together. That's what was basically their whole approval was creating that agreement.
This is very true. They have Eric.
They actually do, which we add water. These ones right out here, we take the truck and back them up to your water. We asked you to know that.
Can Eric come to the store?
All fire training must be done at hydrant location. We're taking the war wagon to Virginia City. Please drop all. So we can make it over the hill. Yeah. All right.
There are other trees in town that we have to water like that, but none of them are doing very good.
Yeah. It's
Half the
not gonna
ones in the
work.
park by my house are
Drive
dead.
down Madison. That's all those trees put in back in. I don't know when. But
Yeah, that's not feasible.
I'm really not texting anybody. I'm a hardscape landscaping. I wish I had my little.
Nikki, Chris did ask when you were looking at something about maybe some sculptures.
Oh yeah.
Of trees.
Yeah. Wood trees.
Metal trees, you know, there's so many artists around here that maybe we could get them to display some of their old
cell phone antennas. I'll see it.
And what, Sean, are there requirements for stuff with DOT? How far something has to be away?
No, not in this particular case. So, I mean, if somebody's safe to walk on a path, then yeah, any type of plantings that would be in that area wouldn't be a safety issue to a vehicle. Unless you put in a really big tree with like a 3-foot diameter trunk to it, but I don't foresee that happening. The reality is if there was any plantings in that area, it would probably be drought tolerant plants. There's a lot of beautiful grass options that grow, to a fairly decent height. There's some shrubs that you can consider also. We wouldn't want to put in evergreen type trees. Just when you put that in with rock, that the pine needles the maintenance of that becomes a big issue. And over time, the roots for those larger trees tend to bust up the asphalt. But you can put in smaller caliber trees that won't grow as tall. So if plantings were to go in that area, there's definitely numerous options that could be evaluated.
Let's look at what kind of drought resistant can go in that area. I have choke cherries that I never water. They seem to survive. I have yarrow that lives on the east side of my building that is now hip tall, and it gets watered once every month if it rains. That's the only time it gets watered. So there's actually a lot of things around here that grow without water. But just having a flat space there is gonna.
So can we come back to the meeting next week with maybe some options, or
Yeah.
we can put a little bit of time and thought into it and come up with some options. I think we've got a good feel for what we definitely don't want to see, so we can try and come up with some solutions if that'll be acceptable.
It would sure benefit the project that those would be in color, so that there's a real view of what it might.
Yeah, what it'll look like in maturity. Okay, we can work on that.
Oh, whoa. I think that was it. My two that I was looking at was the drainage. You guys got that all figured out and it's beautiful.
This is,
Are you getting your fire hydrant when you want it there?
Yeah. That's all taken care of
Yeah.
on the other one. And we did the line, the easement maps and everything. Check. One thing.
Forest says.
In the absence.
yeah.
But it hasn't been fully established, that's why. Any other thoughts, ideas? We don't want them to get to the finish line and be like, stick. Okay.
We'll just put my job title away for a minute. I'm just a citizen here right now. This, to me, feels like the turning point for Ennis. It looks like it too. You know what I'm saying? The turning point where it all goes big. This is what it feels like, it seems like to me. Either keep it Ennis or sell it to Big Sky. You one or the other. This is how I.
And know when we brand or accept our bigger distributors, there's that, it's that stamped commercial, town pump, whatever. When we switched over, they really wanted the building this one white color, this one this. And we're like, well, that's nice, but at the end of the day, we still own the building, and this is a softer, more Ennis feel. And they gave in. Trying to reach that balance is going to be important with this project because it's right at that entrance. You're the big building. You're the first big kid on the block. It kind of sets the tone for the rest of the town. So.
Well, I think the 5 buildings that you're gonna see coming from the north before you get there have already destroyed that.
This is the first commercial.
It's
Big
the first
commercial,
yes.
big commercial one, and where it's an entire center feeling. This is the big, like I said, Rosar's complex. They pulled it off, and they pulled it off well, and it looks beautiful. There's still the opportunity here to do that, but it's the tones and the materials that were used. So attention to the detail will be critical in that project.
And will we ever get to see what the grocery store front looks like? We never saw that either.
We have it in the last.
Yeah, it was there.
I don't remember seeing color scape or anything.
Yeah.
Hennessy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
Hennessy.
Hennessy.
Kind of like Hennessy, but better.
That's why when they say Big Sky, it's Big Sky.
Oh, okay, well, then I'm Exactly. It looked, I mean, I thought it looked Ennis, the picture that we saw. Does Rose ever have their gas station? Oh.
No, but that whole shopping complex that they put in, it went from one thing and added and got bigger. And they kind of adapted.
They've done a good job of buffering
Because it's an entrance to
the building.
Yeah.
The change.
So it feels less like strip mall and more like mini community shopping, I guess would be the difference. I think that'll do a lot. I think that was all that I picked up in the. Voila. Anybody else? Or they have a pretty good last minute dash to go. There's public hearing for public comment. That's what it's for. All the way through.
Spring Hill Suites across from Fairfield. Like we're turning the corner here and it's tough. And I'm not even very long in Ennis, but this is tough to take. I like the grocery store. I like the front that we saw. This in our town, right in the center, is awesome. That's my opinion. But we can't turn something down because we don't like it.
I think that's the general picture too. And I would really like to know, I've seen other canopies that they've toned down by going
Not bright red.
down on the tones. Like the column's a different color. The not neon around the top of the canopy. Oh.
Oh, yeah, this is just work session, we haven't even gotten there. But I mean, I'm just assuming this is, I don't know. They brought this to y'all and you're okay with it.
I mean, it's a gas station.
It's sad. It's in the middle. That's all I can say, but it doesn't matter that I don't like it. Doesn't mean it's not gonna get put in, but I don't like it.
I think there needs to be, I can feel that, I feel it too. I feel that our business is part of the infrastructure of this town. We haven't been closed one day in 20 years. Not one day. We are infrastructure here. We take care of our town. We participate in everything and we want to, pardon me? No, I said right. Okay, I just didn't hear you. You know, and we realize what is here. We want to grow with the town. We're doing our feasibility studies. We're doing traffic studies. We're trying to provide for our community.
But do you think this will look pretty right
Does
there?
any gas station look pretty?
Do we need it right there?
Conoco would not be helping with this project. We've done that study.
We could put a gas station south of town. I mean, I don't even want to say McAllister because they probably feel just like I feel right now about putting the gas station in McAllister. But to do this right there in town, I don't know, it just.
But that's what you're zoned for and that's what your ordinances say that we can do.
Well, our ordinance say it should look much softer, much more Ennis-y, for lack of a better word. This is not at all. I mean, it's not gonna have this casino outlet, it's all in there.
The giant neon in the window in the back.
What the gas pumps would look like.
It's a gas station.
The canopy, I think, is that opportunity to pull it. And again, it's not that hard. And they won't be able to do the light around the top because it's up too much. And
But they already know that, so why are we looking at this?
I think I get the idea. This is the general idea of what it's facing.
And they brought it because of the last one. You wanted something visual, so they would
It's like,
to bring you stuff this time. So that's why it's
Mike Delaney. I know I've been making comments off the record, but
I kind of feel like Eric, in a sense. I've talked to others as well that feel the same way. I know it's going to set a precedent for projects going forward. I know the My Willow project set a precedent, and that's residential. This is commercial. I realize that I feel like the grocery store is kind of a main meeting place in this town. It's a necessary thing, but you go to the grocery store, you can't get out of there if you want to just go in and grab one thing because you see 15 people that you know. And that's a great thing. And it's great that you're expanding it for the community. I was surprised to hear the trees were going. I was picturing the grocery store behind the trees personally, but we saw a tree go down by the My Willow project, and everybody was shocked to see that thing just laying on the side of the road for a month or so. And it doesn't feel like it feels like the requirements for development are being overlooked when we're trying to make it look like Ennis. And I know that's a real interpretive term when you say that, and it's not something you can really describe to an architect or a developer that's drawing up some plans and trying to make everything fit on the lot the way economically makes sense to the business possibly. But to the town, it's I think you're going to run into a lot of opposition about that and animosity about that, possibly from longtime customers that may have other options. And I'm not, I frequent the grocery store, and I'm not going to change that. But it just I worry about like the Spring Hill Suites right next to the Days Inn, and just parking lots and pavement, and no regard for greenscape or maintaining the character of the town. I guess is the basic way to say keep it like Ennis, maintain the character of the town, and for more things to be. I guess when this project is at the phase that it's in, it's already started, it's already going, it's up for approval in 2 weeks. It's like it's getting pushed on you guys. Like, here, this is it. This is what we have. This is what's been approved by this, and this. Just go with it. Just go with it. But as a courtesy to the town, I would strongly recommend considering doing something different. And with the bike paths, with the fuel island, do less pumps, put a wood facade on the fuel island, put some green in there, some brown, some things that bring it together with the landscape and the mountains and what we all know to be Ennis now. Again, everybody's worried about becoming Big Sky. It may not happen in my lifetime, but it's kind of painful going in that direction. And we all say, well, it's inevitable. Growth is inevitable. But what isn't laid out for us is how we handle the growth and how we move forward as a community to have it be what everybody wants it to be, including what the business wants it to be and what makes sense for the business. I mean, do we need 10 more gas pumps? How about 4? How about, I don't know that the community demands another
That's why I asked about
fuel
the
island.
space.
But
and only have, 4 and not be such a,
there's
We're
bound to be
thinking
some other
about this
possibilities,
right-
but I know this far into the project, it's hard to go back and say, start over, do a different layout. It's kind of late, but it's not too late. So.
This
Grocery store and fuel islands aside, again, as a member of the public, you have to look at the growth plan, re-examine it, get involved in the process. If you want your zoning to be different, you gotta change this. You gotta change your zoning. This is what's in effect. They have complied. Now they're in conversation about how to soften it, how to make it more palatable. I've been here a little over 20 years. I don't like seeing the growth. I think those condos are hideous. But if Spring Hill Suites wants to come in, they're gonna have to build a 33-foot tall building, no higher. Days in, whatever. They're not gonna be able to build their traditional because it's not permitted anywhere in any of these. But I urge you people who are, and I'll be right there with you, not happy about what's happening, is to get involved in the process, not just the town, but the county. Make those commissioners do their job and serve their constituency. County went through this with that RV park down south at the border. They ultimately turned it down. Apparently they had the loopholes to be able to do that, or the zoning, or the restrictions. I don't know what the right term is. But Chris has dotted her i's and crossed her t's and presented this. We had the town had their contract planner provide his plan review. It's dated June 2nd. Nobody's pushing anybody or cramming anything in at the last minute. It was all within the normal process of application.
And at this stage where we're at, we're never going to stay the same. And if we do, it's kind of almost a screw you, I've got mine, so you can't have yours. Like, not to be mean, but there's been a lot of sharing, and I don't know where you draw the line. I've been here 20 years. I've been here 40 years. So as there's more of us here, there's more demand on the day-to-day services. And will we stay at a 1% growth or an 11? I don't know. But it really sucks to get something, a huge investment to this stage and go, well, they wanted 2 pumps and we had room for 5, and now we wish we had 5. And if it can be done responsibly within all of the requirements and we soften the feel, I understand how it can work for town.
And I will tell you, I have tried very hard all the time to work with people, all the time. I've asked numerous times when we went through our grocery store stuff, how we're going to be able to answer your guys' questions. I don't want to work against you. I tried to follow everything that you guys have set up already. And Maria is right, the change has to happen someplace else. I agree, but I still have a service to provide to my community. And I take that responsibly. And I try to be responsible. And I appreciate the feedback that we get from you, that you want to see some green in there or whatever. So do I. But I also tried to, what you told me last time, conserve water. The wells. I tried to look, I listened to that, and that's why I came back with what we did. Didn't mean we didn't want it. All right, do we have anything else for Madison Foods to like try and shove in the next week? Busy little, I'm like, man, this is weekend work now. So some thoughts. I think that's where it's at. I haven't seen anything else in my only other thing was the trash from the pumps themselves go to the trash enclosure by the grocery store. Okay.
So there's not trash cans at the pumps?
There is, but the final cart has to go to the grocery store enclosure at the main location. Lot, whatever.
trash.
But,
Dumpsters.
yeah. Anything else? Anybody got anything? All right.
So if we come to, for the next week's meeting, then with, at that point with some options, or do you want us to try and submit something before so you can look at it? Or as fast as we can get some options?
Throw stuff at us. I love midnight reading. It's my favorite part of this job. Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's the, fine. We have pre-approval with everything, and that's just basically signing a piece of paper on the 24th.
All right.
So is your only recommendation on landscape, or are you looking for a softened look to the pumps?
Both. But I don't know that this is the accurate representation. Like you said, it still has to meet code, so that already doesn't.
Sorry, so I was just reading Forest's staff report, and the existing approach does not appear to have any proposed change, like for the Pearl Street exit. Or like, is that an actual street? Is that an actual exit? And is it gonna be an actual street that goes through to Pearl Street, or is it just a it's only exit, or what? Is that an actual exit?
Where you? Oh,
Right here where it, so the,
Yes, there is a drive-through.
yeah. It will connect then.
That is not a street.
is it gonna be labeled as an exit?
Yes. Grocery store stuff that they have to have all appropriate signage and stuff on the
They come in here,
arrows,
drive through here
on the TNT.
in order to deliver.
No, just people. Like if people want to exit onto Pearl Street, they can, that's technically like a street,
Oh, I don't
or
know.
is it?
It's not a full street. But that's the way they're going.
Trucks are gonna come through here and
Mhm.
go on to Pearl Street and pull down here and back into.
And
And
there's,
then they're gonna exit here, out here in this corner.
yeah, and there's, I mean, that road is,
It's not meant for that kind of traffic.
No.
but That's, we already, it's too late. We already approved that.
I guess the question, so are the trucks delivering to the grocery store and eventually Ennis Home Furnishings, they can only go one way, they have to go back out towards 287?
they're gonna theoretically go right here. Right here.
They can
On
either
Pearl
come
Street.
down here.
And turn up Pearl, and then they gotta come back out.
This is Pearl.
This is
Behind
Pearl,
Pearl
like right
Street.
here. And they'll take a left at the stop sign and then get back on 287.
So
Or they-
in that way, out that way.
But they can also.
No, they're coming in off of the highway.
Off the highway, and then they're coming
They're coming to
literally
street.
right here to the stop sign right out here. And then they'll exit town like that.
That's
Or the
the
other way.
question. Oh, and go up by Sportsman in those houses? And right there?
Correct.
I'm a little concerned about the only way left out of all of this is right here.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Is that,
Yep.
That's
what DOT is.
that's what DOT is doing? Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
DOT.
that's not a request by us.
Right, no, I think it's just interesting. I'm not
Yes.
backing you. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we have to follow what they.
I think this is gonna be backed up to your front door.
Yep.
In summer, that would be.
Right now, we only have one,
So, right,
we don't get,
we only have one business. Or 5 businesses,
And that's
or
why-
however many you want to
Yes.
consider all the.
And that's why they
parts.
required us to do the traffic study that we did with them. They required that, and that they came back with this. We don't have any say in.
And sorry, if you already went over this, I know
No,
it's like
you're fine.
part of it, so.
No, no problem.
And we're getting a copy of the traffic study, right?
And when are they starting that? After August 24th?
No, it's
The,
study's complete.
No, not the
the widening of the highway.
The widening will probably, just because of the time of year, it'll probably have to be very, which will be after the winter season.
So next summer.
What's the timing on the fuel island?
Same, at the same time.
To start next spring?
To start the build next spring?
No,
Okay.
it'll likely build through the winter, but it won't build until.
DOT allows what was it, November? We can't do any asphalt.
Yeah, but they have a moratorium on all highway work.
All right, anything else? All right, send away.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Did we lose anybody? You can have your stuff. Frame it. I don't want it in my space. I feel like I'm with Corey again. Sharing my bubble. Well,
What did I do?
what did you do? I said Maria was like spreading and sprawling, and it says it feels like sharing space with Corey again. Sprawler.
Right?
All right. Now that we hashed as much of that as we could hash,
I wouldn't want to follow that act.
I'm so sorry, but you're up.
I've got a little PowerPoint that I think hopefully deals with some of the questions that I came away with last time. Can't figure out which way it's up on my binder. Anyways. I guess they're, yeah, right on.
It works.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Do you guys know where that, anyways, I was going to be sarcastic and ask you if you knew where that was, but it was,
Pretty
yeah.
green, not sterile.
That was in May.
I'm just saying, no 3-story condos. No.
Cool. Anyways, going through a little bit. After I turned the slides in, I came across the housing needs assessment 2023 for Madison County. So none of that made the slides, but I pulled a little bit of info from it and made some notes to myself too. So anyways, found the Envision Ennis, which some of that data is a couple years old, but I think that was, I've got a picture coming up, 2022 master plan. And then I think last time a question had come up exactly where the lots are. So there's a site map picture where the lots are. And then there were 4 questions I walked away with. Why have the current builds taken so long? What do the CDBG administration costs look like? What is the list of qualifications needed to apply for a habitat home? And then what is the schedule of costs for construction? That one's kind of a basic one right now, but we've got a spreadsheet and we're tweaking it as we get more updated numbers too. So anyways, that's kind of the game plan. And then here we go. We've seen that Ennis needs affordable workforce housing. Habitat's aim is to provide affordable housing in Ennis. We've got 8 more lots in the North 40 where the Community Development Block Grant, that is a mouthful to say, sorry. Funds could be used to help with construction and keeps homes more affordable. Anyways, some snippets from the Envision Ennis Master Plan, basically emphasizing the published need of affordable housing. Some of the points there just are going over that. There's some house prices. Again, some of the data is a couple years old, but I think some of the numbers say that the home prices increased 69% from 2015 to 2020. Prices are going up, getting to be harder to afford, basically with that one. That one, some of the incomes in Ennis from 2019, it was 46 and change, a little bit lower than the county. And then some of the house prices in 2020, it was saying that the average house price then was 450. And I think it's gone up in the housing needs assessment. I think it was indicating the prices, the average price in Madison County went up 122% from 262 and change in 17 to 428 and change in 22. And the average wage they had listed in there was like almost 52 grand for the county, or for Ennis, excuse me. So it's gone up a little bit. And then that, and then I had some notes, some more notes on that, just going over the raising prices, a little bit of income. And there was some number crunching in there on what was affordable based on some of their numbers as well, which we're hoping we can get in there a little bit. On some of the surveys done in the Envision Ennis, business owners that were surveyed indicated that housing for employees and retaining employees was a big deal. So we're hoping that we can, by building some of these houses with grants, we can help with that a little bit, get them in a little less expensive. Anyways, some of these slides. Noticed on, where are we here? There was one note, approximately 61% of respondents pay 30% or more of their income to housing. Found an article in the Wall Street the other day that had similar percentages. It was talking about renting a little bit different, but I just thought it was interesting that 61% of Miami renters were paying more than 30%. That matched up with numbers there. I just thought that was intriguing. Whatever, but again, employee recruitment, retention due to lack of affordable housing. That's one of the site plans. That's where Habitat's trying to build inside the circle. And then I don't want to beat a dead horse, so to speak, but just going through there. And then on that, one of those charts, CDBG was mentioned, is a possible avenue to help with affordable housing. Anyways, and then here's the site map, a little bit closer detail. The bigger circle is Otis and then Rachel. The little horseshoe right there. We've got 10 lots, 2 of them are built on. We're thinking of doing 5 lots in the CDBG, and then leaving the other 3 for future build.
Is that the 2 and then the 1 that's vacant between?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that before.
Yeah, 2 on the end. Just, I think their address is actually on Otis, but the street drive through to get on the garage is Rachel, I think. But yeah, so 2 there with the space in between. All right, question 1. Why have the current builds taken so long? A little bit of background on it. Habitat, it looks like purchased lots in 2019, lots 9 through 18. Those 2 holes that were in the site map looked like they were dug in 2020. One resident was cleared to move in late June of this year. And then the second resident, we're hoping we'll get her in this fall into the house. We might have some landscaping to do next spring, depending on how things go. The why, I guess. There's been a bit of turnover. There's been a new executive director, development coordinator, restore manager, and the program manager and volunteer coordinator have all come in since August of 2021. There's been at least 3 project managers that I could count that have been on the job since November 2021 when I came on. 2 of them have moved on. One of those guys left for a job in Big Sky, construction job in Big Sky. Second one doesn't work with Habitat anymore. Office staff, including myself and the executive director, development director, have filled in as needed when they're able. The current construction supervisor that's there now, he was working on a project in Bozeman, and then he came over after that project got done. One of the subs here pulled out mid-project, said he was too busy in elsewhere. And Habitat hasn't had a budget to pay supervisors at levels where they've stuck around. CDBG might be able to help out a little bit on that. Some of our resources have been stretched thin. We've had multiple other projects going on at the same time. COVID hit, and then that didn't help some of our volunteer base either. And then,
hey, Owen, this is
yes.
Commissioner Hardy. I was just curious, like, how long are each one of these homes supposed to take to build? Like, start to finish. What is your target?
I think I'll say a normal construction crew, for lack of a better term, like another non-Habitat crew. I've heard 3 months is a fast build. I don't think we're quite there yet, but with CDBG, they give us 2 years to finish the project. So we're hoping 5 houses in 2 years is kind of our what we're shooting for. That's kind of what we're shooting for. I think our past hasn't been that, but we are if we get the CDBG, we're hoping to use some of that funding for employees that work 5 days a week in Ennis on the build, which I think will be a big part of speeding those up a fair bit.
Have you secured those?
We're hoping we will with CDBG and then funding.
That's the grant.
Yeah. Sorry, the community CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant, and then
How many current Gallatin projects you got going?
nothing in Gallatin right now.
Bozeman and Big Sky and nothing?
Yeah.
And anywhere else? Sorry, none.
We just finished up some stuff for HRDC, those tiny homes over kind of by Murdoch's and Walmart over there. I think we had our hand in 7 of them, and then finished up there and then moved our focus down.
Was there a good turnout of volunteers here or no?
There's been, currently there's a Wednesday crew, mostly retired people, most of them retired guys that have been with us for some of them, I think 5-10 plus years.
But not Ennis residents.
Mike's been a good help. Ticker has been a good help. And then there's been some other support too. Almost a year ago, some of the First Interstate Bank does their yearly day of giving. And they've, I'm thinking that there's coulda, woulda, shoulda. I think there's more opportunity. Yeah. I think that's been part of our struggle on our end that we can do better at. Part of it,
I think the initial part of the struggle too was the schedule. Initial one that I saw was Tuesday through Friday.
Yeah.
I'm like, I still gotta eat too.
Yeah.
So, sorry if it was a weekend, probably more likely, but, still gotta eat.
Retired people that would want to help. We have a couple of Ennis
think I posted.
Actually, I shared a poster once, because I had the gal that's
Oh,
in the
yeah.
second home.
Yeah.
What's her
Yeah.
name?
Christie.
No, Ellie's in, the
Yeah.
other gal, Christy.
Yeah.
She came by the store and gave me a
Sweet.
poster, so I shared that for her.
Sweet. Thank you.
She does Facebook, but I mean, it's a way to reach
Yeah.
out, because there's, you know, there's a lot of retired people here, and they do like to get back. So,
And by no means has Habitat been perfect, and we're hoping we can get better at what we do.
How can you assure that?
That is a good question. We are aiming to, with more funding, hire more people and be available more days a week. In the past, we've been kind of, well, even somewhat current. We've been, I don't know how to put it exactly the best way, but we are aiming to have more people down here more often, including maybe like a adjusted work week from typical Monday through Friday or whatever. That might open up some Saturdays and stuff like that, that would hopefully create more opportunities for weekend warrior kind of things. And then,
But as I understood, Bozeman or Gallatin Habitat's actually kind of in the doing Ennis a favor section, because technically we were Butte as part of, was kind of our center when we originally started talking about the first two, is it was actually Butte was the district that we were in for it, but couldn't get any, there was no interest from that section to come down to Ennis. So then there was an approach to the Gallatin, and that's the way it came this way, correct? I think.
I believe it was something like that. That was a little bit before I was with Habitat. I don't know all the details of how it totally transpired, but I think, and this is definitely as far as our outer limits, I guess, as far as our.
We're at the edge of the circle.
Yeah.
So why do we,
Follow
sorry,
up.
it's probably a stupid question, but why do we have to help you get this grant?
Part of the CDBG grant requires a sponsorship from like a town, city, or county.
Yeah.
And we asked Madison County, and they said that Ennis would be a better fit that way from their perspective. And so I'm hoping that it is a good fit from your perspective.
If,
Do I recall that actually the town would be the applicant?
Yes. Yeah. The town has to be the applicant as far as the.
CDBG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it basically.
In conjunction with Habitat.
Yeah.
You have to have the town.
Yeah.
Be the entity that requests it.
Yeah, and then so the Montana Department of Commerce would kind of essentially give Ennis the funding with the draws, and then essentially Ennis would kind of say, here you go, Habitat, kind of thing. That makes, yeah.
Do I recall correctly that when you made your previous presentation, each house you thought would cost about $258,000
You know,
to build? Is that in the neighborhood?
Yeah. I think
What would you sell it for?
Probably, well.
they can only make so much money, right?
Yeah.
They never get the land.
Yeah.
What's the estimated sales price?
I think from what we're seeing right now, it would be probably in the three-ish.
To sell it?
Yeah.
Because how much you can only make, the occupant can only make so much money.
Yeah,
out of it, correct?
I've got a slide coming up in a little bit that goes over some of those numbers. And I might, yep, good.
So how does it work? They apply.
Yep.
They get to buy it once they're approved.
Who's the lender?
We deal a lot with HUD. That's not the only program out there. Some of the numbers are HUD. These numbers are HUD numbers. But there's like Montana Board of Housing, sometimes rural development. HUD does some stuff. So it kind of depends a little bit on some exact numbers, I think, depending on who or which program you go with. That chart is the HUD number chart, and it's by county by year. So in that picture, it's Madison County. And then the median family income that they give is 75,700. And they've got the three categories: very low, which is 50% of the income limit, or 50% income, and then extremely low, which is 30%, and then the 80% is the low income limit. It's like for a family of four to be eligible for HUD on the 80%, they couldn't make more than 67,200 for the family. If they make more than that, then they can't qualify for that program, kind of thing.
And then they're gonna pay a mortgage on the house of 300-ish.
Yeah.
Interest rates are normal, they get the normal whatever we're at right now?
Kind of, some of those programs are next to nothing for percentages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
And then can they not sell the house? How does this work? I'm just kind of.
They can, but they can only make so much money and they don't own the ground. The people that buy
yeah.
it buy the house, but not the ground.
And some of that depends a little bit on, like HUD's got some different regulations. Yeah, HUD's got some different regulations that we've got to go through too. So typically we've been putting it in a land trust, and then essentially they buy the house and then Habitat keeps the land. And then so when the house goes to sell, there's some caps on equity in the house to try to keep it affordable for the next person.
Well, you could sell the house.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can only make like 30% or something.
Yeah. And so, like there's caps on and then some timing kind of thing. Like there's sometimes like a 10-year first right of refusal that you want to sell it, you got to check with Habitat first for X amount of time, and then see if Habitat wants to buy it. The whole purpose of that is to try to keep it the house price affordable for the next person.
How many applicants do you have for Ennis?
Right now, we've been more focusing on building these two, so we don't have a whole lot of applicants in the bank, so to speak.
Okay.
I think I haven't counted. I think there's a small handful. I don't have an exact number for you right now.
And so how much time, it says that 5% or something, the town is.
Well, the administration.
Yeah.
Required.
Time required is 5%, but Ginger doesn't even have 5%. Approximate 5% administration responsibilities for the town. I mean, we have one person in the office right now.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
I don't even know that she could provide 5%, you know,
Right on.
compared to her.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely not trying to overburden Ennis or Ginger or Ginger, sorry.
Ginger might want to volunteer.
Yeah.
Oh, and I totally appreciate what you're doing and what you've done. I've been involved in it enough to see all the struggles that y'all encountered just with these two houses, COVID, turnover, supply chain, and all those things. I guess I was thinking about these other houses and thinking, well, the grant, just getting the money is just scratching the surface. It would be great to get the money, but to get the contractors and the coordination, the supervision, the administration, and all that it's like running a building company. It is running a building company.
Yeah, I feel like that has to be secured before you can look into this portion.
And I know that, it's hard for us over here to be number one, like you said. I know the guys were going to Livingston to do remodels, they were going to Big Sky to do projects, there was ongoing projects in Bozeman. So it was kind of like, okay, we'll get that done when we get it done. It's just all you had to work with. I understand that. But it was hard as far as volunteers here because the volunteer coordination was difficult. I know there was two ladies that were handling a lot of that. Josh was the superintendent here, and I saw him building the majority of the house. I did it with him. He's, a big hoss guy. He can do anything. He's really, and you lost him to Big Sky. I get that. That's what's going to happen as soon as somebody sees a dude hurt. sourcing material out as they're opening knocking on the door. So it's gonna be difficult to, especially over a 2-year period, to maintain the attention of subs and trades and volunteers. It almost seems like it should happen much quicker than that to me.
Yeah.
To like move on and get it done.
Yeah.
And what happens if you don't do it in the 2 years? Do you have to pay that money back?
Essentially, I mean, there's some little
I
aspect.
don't even worry about that because I mean,
Well, how long
you
is
should
Ellie?
be able to build anything in a year. I mean,
But they did.
something
But
that's
how long
small,
has Ellie's
it
and
should
the other
be a
one been
year.
worked on?
But the thing is, it seems like, one of my questions is gonna be, how much volunteer work, labor and or materials, if did you rely on in the budget for a house? Because, I mean, it almost seems like we should, to build the houses, you should be courting the trades to say, can y'all build this for me? Can we get on your list? Is there any discount you can give us? Because we're Habitat, we're trying to get some housing here for people so that, you know, they all know the dilemma, but no builder's really willing to, or superintendent or trade is willing to just forego high paid work to go volunteer on the Habitat house.
Yeah.
You know, I happen to do it because I felt like volunteering was a good thing but sometimes you're over there on your own, you know, or one guy and you need an army of guys or people that are more skilled or something like that. And then of course the sweat equity of the owner themselves. I mean, sometimes they're able to do that, and sometimes they do their sweat equity hours through like working at the senior center or volunteering at the senior center, volunteering at the Nearly News, and that's great for the community and all. But it just seemed like, you know, getting the grant is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's so many unanswered questions in that industry right now of, you know, having a trade base that's not outpost or that it's available and willing to partner up with you and say, yes, we'll be your plumbing company on these 5 houses.
Well,
you know, and I know you had a guy back out on, I don't know if it's plumbing or what it was, but, you know, halfway through it, and that's a surprise that you have, it's hard to deal with, but.
And I don't know what he had going on. He was there before I came in and like whatever, but I think I'm thinking he must have got busy somewhere else. I'm like, oh, it'd be hard for him to get in there. But I think ideally we could get our schedule dialed down a little bit better.
I think just maintain people's attention.
Yeah.
Especially trades that are trying to manage work, you know, they go to plumbing rough, they feel like they need to be doing the top out, you need to be doing the trim within a couple of months, not, hey, remember this house you did? No, I don't remember that house.
There's
It's
definitely
kind of flow better for trades and volunteers. They like to see progress quickly rather than just slow grind it away.
I think our goal and our aim is to, in a sense, turn more from a volunteer. I mean, I don't want to, this isn't meant to sound bad. So to turn more from a volunteer base where if you get whatever, 1 or 2 volunteers this day to do this job, you know, and then a month later you get a couple more to come in and do another job. Hire a couple guys, get the progress going, and then if volunteers are able to come in on other days or whatever, turn it into something like that where there's more people there more often, keep the project going. So you can call the plumber, you can call the whoever, sheetrocker, and say, hey, well, most likely going to be in this range for needing plumbing, and then all right, we can help you out on that job that day or whatever. Does that make sense? If I'm
Yeah, the retirees and the public trying to work during the 5-day work week is probably not an option. You know, they take off of work to volunteer.
Yeah.
You know, they'll volunteer maybe on the weekend, but then that's their weekend. So then with retirees, you know, it's kind of a shot in the dark whether they're going to be available, committed, things like that. All the things you have probably already struggled with. So.
What happens to those lots if we don't do this? If we don't get on board and write the grant?
I think we would continue to look for other funding opportunities,
Says
or
they're already paid.
if there's any other ideas that anybody is aware of that we should be tracking down something, or all ears. But yeah, we've thought about things like home grant or some other funding sources like that to get through some of them. Yeah.
But the land is already purchased.
Do you have the
and
option
not
to sell it?
Yeah. Habitat bought the lots, what was it, 2019? And so theoretically, like, that is an option.
You just sell it
Yeah.
and use that money to
Go do something else.
do
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, let's say they cost 250,000 to build, which is way underestimated.
Nice.
Your $750,000 grant isn't going to cover all that for 5 houses. Do you have more money to add to that?
We were hoping that we could start by building a couple and then use, kind of, yeah. Yeah, I think at the end of the project, we essentially got to get net zero. You know, so basically at the end of the project, the grant money has got to go to zero. So basically we can't essentially walk away with 750 grand in our pocket because of the grant. If that makes sense. So.
You asked me to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
So a couple, 2 people in a household, both working 40 hours a week, making $15 an hour,
Nice.
which is pretty doable around here. If
Nice.
somebody wants to work. They're going to gross $5,200 a month. All lending is based on your gross.
Sweet.
That's $62,400 a year, so it fits underneath your 75%. At a sale price of $300,000, if you put 20% down, and these other programs won't require that, you'd have a mortgage of $240,000. Your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance are going to be $1,878. That is more than the 30% stress test that Habitat will permit. So the math doesn't count, and I wouldn't even have brought this up if you hadn't asked me to pick it from.
Okay.
It doesn't count. And how many couples in that position have $60,000 put down? None.
Cool.
So now you're financing the whole thing, because some of these programs will let you do that. And even if their interest is zero, the payment is so high, you can't back into this 30% of your income ratio that Habitat requires, as stated in your PowerPoint that I went through this morning. So I don't know how it could work. It doesn't work on paper for me.
I really.
That's the school funding, right? Additional funding. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's just to be able to
That's
buy it.
just to be able to buy it.
Yeah.
And afford it.
So the only way to actually make it doable that way is to figure out a way to drop the cost on the bill.
What if you build an apartment complex on those?
That's what I was wondering.
Lots.
Yeah.
Are they single family?
They're single family. I think the average lot size is like 3,500
I don't
square
know
foot
if
lots
they're-
or something.
I don't know if they're sold.
No. Yeah.
I was meaning they could sell lots to a builder.
Just bare ground.
Yeah, and that person could build what they're building out here. Like the one that's right there.
Yeah.
That's what I wasn't
Cool,
meaning
yeah.
Habitat. But I was meaning.
But you're
Yeah.
not going to get affordable, and even
Yeah.
at $300,000, it doesn't meet this housing study that the county did for affordable in Ennis. Affordable in Ennis is $140,000 based on the median income today.
Yeah, I see like 3 of those houses listed.
It doesn't calculate. And the statistics in the master plan, personally, they're junk. I called them the agency that developed it and asked a specific question about a statistic that they quoted, and so that we could move forward and not duplicate the work they'd already done, and asked how they came about that, and they said, oh, we didn't do anything official or survey, we guesstimated it. How good is that information? It makes me not trust any of the other information. That's my personal opinion of that document.
There must be some source. That's a reliable figure.
The housing assessment is very close on the income and the numbers. And
The
it's,
housing assessment, yeah.
yeah, the
Talking
county
about
housing,
pushing direct.
yeah, the county housing assessment is right on. Because we were looking at it for water and rates. And their numbers are,
And outside of the grant conversation, when are you planning to landscape what you've already done?
We're hoping this fall, maybe next or early next spring, depending on how. Yeah,
landscaping is the best.
I think.
You already have the fund.
Yeah, I was asking our ED this morning, and it sounds like we're good on it for now. So, yeah, I think it's, yeah, in a sense, kind of getting to it.
How do we make the houses affordable? Because it makes it, I get really nervous about putting my name on the line. And it's not just if you read through the requirements for CDBG, it also says that the administrator executive must be fully knowledgeable about this document that's like this. And I'm like, sweet, that's me.
So.
That's not,
Well, I've gone
I'm not.
through a well business loan to start a business. Ahead of that, you basically create a business plan that it forces you to look at everything, your workforce, the market, how are you gonna cover this cost, and so on. You do all of that up front before you get the funding, so you know how much funding, you need and where it's gonna go, where you're gonna apply. Rather than, but it sounds like here, we just need to get this funding and then we'll go back and figure out where we're gonna and spend it and how. Is there any sort of like plan that's laid out that says like it's gonna cost this much to build these houses and here's how we got to that number? Who's gonna do the work, how much materials is gonna cost, how long it's gonna take, how many people it's gonna take?
There's, sweet. I am.
Otherwise, I'm just asking $750,000.
Yeah.
Use it 2 years,
Yeah.
2-year deadline.
I am.
Well, it's use it or it goes back. It's not going to Habitat's
No.
personal. I mean,
No.
they don't get any money.
No.
There's also, like, what's the match? It's not just instant free money either. There's an initial match, correct? When I was reading through CDBG, about 5% was what? Because on an initial $50,000 CDBG grant, just 50,000, the match, from what I was reading, would be around 12,500. So that you have an initial investment, but
That we would have to put up?
that has.
It's been a couple months since I read that particular part of the CDBG, but I think I remember something about an aspect of it didn't have a match. That I think we could.
Oh, okay.
But I will have to go back and look and relook at that. But it's been a little bit since I read that particular part. But let me answering part of your question. The back half of my binder is the estimates and quotes and stuff that I'm working on. I've got a full page anyways of basically addition for a quote. It's still a bit of a draft, but it gets us, I think, pretty close for numbers. Yeah, anyway. Right on.
None of that has been like nailed down. It's your has actually signed up for the job, so we're, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So we know what we need, we just don't, not sure where we're gonna get it.
Ginger, what you got?
Well, something I just thought of, that I think is something that the town would need to check into is if Ennis puts its name on this CDBG grant, are we going to be eligible if we need something, a CDBG grant for the town to be able to put in for a second fund?
I think there's some language in there that essentially is one at a time, I think.
That's what I'm wondering, if with our water projects, water sewer, our infrastructure stuff that we've got coming up, if we end up having to go for
More money.
driver grant money, could we apply for
Will you write that,
CDBG if we're already signed on to one?
will you write that down and we'll shoot that to Craig?
I think I'll call him tomorrow, or I'm gonna be talking to that tomorrow. That, I think we need to answer that question. I'm sorry.
Because we're running out of water project. We need that very much for
Fair enough.
putting more houses anywhere.
What was the reason the county gave that they couldn't?
I think,
I mean, besides like,
yeah.
oh, Ennis is a better fit.
I think that was essentially, I think it's, yeah, I think they told me it was in Ennis, and so it's more of an Ennis thing. But
Who did
basically,
you talk to?
I think his name was Ron, I think.
What did he do for the county?
He was one of the,
Commission seats?
yeah, he was one of the four, I think, that was on the, like different regional,
Nine.
um, yeah, anyways,
Yeah, he's not even up to
hand.
okay. I think it was back in probably April that I talked to him, and it was a pretty short conversation. Just said they weren't interested, couldn't do it, and this is a better fit to you. It's kind of, I don't think it was much more than a minute or two conversation. I don't, anyways, maybe. Nice.
Talk to Bill Todd, he's our commissioner. Good luck, we're trying to get a hold of him.
My only problem with this project is our whole goal is affordable and we're not meeting that
It's not.
benchmark. So how do we make that happen? We have to make that part of it
Yeah,
happen
yeah.
and I don't.
Almost our best opportunity to have it.
It's the closest, but
I was gonna ask, like, what's your response to what Maria's, like, the numbers don't add up? Like, that doesn't seem like you get very far. If you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
make basic, high level logic.
Work that way, yeah.
So how do you respond?
Can I get back to you tomorrow? Was this?
Sure.
Cool. I don't know that I have a good response right in front of me. I might,
And
right here.
there might be components of my calculations that are not what Habitat would use, so show me what they would use.
yes, cheaper is, it's better than, I'm 400,000 for some of the ones that went out there for 800 square feet.
It's $250 to build a house, like what part of it's administration, what part of it's supervision, what part of it's materials and labor.
Yeah, I've got,
I'm not trying to think of hard questions for you.
yeah, no, thanks.
There's a building trades association in Bozeman. They would be the ones to go to and have a campaign, and I need a plumber for 5 different houses over a period of 2 years. How can I get
That's the
5
awkward
different
thing is
plumbers?
you're going to Bozeman and Gallatin County instead of Ennis and Madison County.
Well, you can't get a plumber to come and change your water heater in Madison.
That's the conundrum.
But, you know, they, to some degree, a builders association is gonna have some philanthropic portion to it. That's good PR. We don't have any kind of organized trade association here.
Hey, Owen, this is Corey Hardy. I would be curious. I didn't even know about. I mean, other than I did know the projects were going on, but I work in construction and have for 21 years now. But I've been doing work in the Madison Valley for 21 years. I did not receive, like, I guess, any outreach or anything like that, and I would highly recommend contacting like the Chamber of Commerce and getting communications going that direction with subcontractors, especially or contractors, if we're looking to have individuals volunteer work or provide workers or volunteer efforts on these projects. I think it would be really good to at least have an outreach or a list of contractors from the chamber that you could reach out to.
Sweet, no, yeah, good call. Thank you. Cool.
Is the CDBG every year, or is it on the 2-year cycle?
But I believe they have open, like September 15th seems to be a yearly, as far as I can tell, a yearly submission date, as far as I can tell. But then once you win one, it's 2 years. Yeah.
And there's no guarantee if you apply for 750 that that's what they'll award you?
No.
It could be a lower number.
Yeah, it could be. I haven't seen any indication of like any correlation between whatever and a number.
Whatever you apply for, do whatever you
Yeah.
get. There's no.
Not that I am aware
No
of.
statistics.
Yeah.
You've seen.
All right. What else do we have in our grand must know?
How do you get applicants? And you have to have applicants before you get funding.
I think there's an overwhelming showing of a need.
Yeah.
In the.
I think part of it we haven't broadcast too loudly, just because just our speed has not been great enough to shout too loudly, I guess. And so I think that's part, yeah. And we're hoping to change. I mean, obviously, if we go faster, we'll need to get more people tied to them sooner. But a lot of it can be like word of mouth or plastering, whatever, you know.
Are there requirements across the board, or can they be adjusted to the area that's being built in?
Some of the income adjusts to the area, but Habitat's got some of their own requirements. Except for the income chart, it was pulled from Habitat's website. You gotta need it. Some of that is if your current setup isn't working out so well. And then kind of going over some of the questions, you gotta be able to pay for it, sweat equity hours. Gotta either at least work here or live here for at least a year. Some other.
So working in this area is a requirement.
Working or living. I mean, theoretically, you could live here and then commute to Bozeman or something. Or, I mean, theoretically.
That's not going to make me as a business owner want to help somebody build a house if they're going to Bozeman to work.
The intended goal.
I get it.
Like would be for the employee. I mean, it'd be for Ennis. Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Can the requirements be adjusted to fit the area that's being built in?
I think if we're building an Ennis North 40, I think we're going to be looking at Ennis.
But I don't think you can actually require that. I'm pretty sure if you took that to the court. I don't think you could.
Have you looked at sponsorship opportunities? Because I've been in the building trades for a long time. It used to be that builders would actually contact us, the cabinet company, and say, we're building a habitat home, and we want a free set of cabinets for this house. And that's what we did, because they swung the big stick. They're one of our customers, and they did 150 homes a year, or 200, whatever it is. He said, yes, sir, and brought out a set of cabinets. Same with their framer and same with their plumber, or they get a discount. Not everybody could do that, but they would ask for discounts. And you can put, you can put your name on it. At one point I asked you, do y'all have a discount through Lowe's? I mean, because their sign is on the back of your trailer. I said, can we get some cheap cabinets from Lowe's or something? They're going to give you a deep discount instead of trying to piece together some used cabinets or something. But that's, I think, where you're going to make some headway. I mean, talk to builders and say, we want to engage you. You have the trades. You have the contacts. What can you do for us? I mean, there's some framing crews that would go frame one of those houses in 3 days and just call it easy.
That's right.
You know, really, that's the way we used to have to do it. To get individual volunteers is harder to coordinate and harder to put those people together to work together because they don't usually work together. If it's a builder and he's got trades, they work together already.
Day in, day out.
He can kind of leverage them to say, hey, put this on your list for March. You know, we're going to be doing this, and I want a sweet deal on this one. I'll buy the material and you provide the labor, or something like that.
Sweet.
Suggestion.
Right on. No, yeah.
I really feel like it's a worthwhile project, but I think you've got the horse out of the barn. It's left the barn, and homework hasn't been done. And be able to answer the questions and have a firm plan. Anything can go to hell, but
we're kind of working against the history of that project.
Yeah, it's not in their
When
favor.
I went to the Lions to try to get some donations, they had bad taste in their mouth from 10 years ago when somebody that was approved actually was somebody that could well afford a house.
That's right,
He just
down on the
happened to
river.
get somebody, I don't know how he got it approved, but that was found out after a bunch of sweat equity was put in there through volunteerism. And not that the Lions wouldn't volunteer, they probably had to twist their arm to come up with any funding. You know, sweat equity hours, possibly. But again, it's a bunch of retirees. And we've got lots of projects already. So for me to go, hey, we're going to build a house. You know, I'd love for the Lions to sponsor a house and say, that's our house and we're going to build it, leave us alone. That would be great, but it's kind of hard to do that. You'd have better luck with a builder or, you know, one of the big sticks in the community. Has some booths or town home or Willie's or something like that. You know, and all that would probably help getting the community behind us. Kind of what's done is done. We can move forward with the plan.
Yeah, this is Hardy. I agree. I agree with that, and I feel the precedent that has been set from our previous 2 builds with Habitat, and I spoke with both yourself, Mike, and Owen as well regarding this. Like, we'd have to have a board or an oversight committee, basically maybe made up of, I mean, I would definitely love to be a part of that. Like I said, I've worked in construction for a lot of years and I know a thing or two. But I would love to be involved with something like that. I think these projects absolutely require community participation. We can't expect, I mean, as it is right now, I have no other idea what we would do to generate we'll call it moderately affordable home in our community, other than providing volunteer efforts within the community. And that all starts with asking the question or vocalizing that there's a need for this. Like, hey, we're trying to put structures in our community that are, you know, relatively affordable, right? Since the word affordable is not applicable here. But yeah, I think that would just basically require a need to be vocalized, and then people will just have to we'll have to put it out there and see if we can't come up with volunteer laborers to come in and help. It's also being discussed over in Sheridan, Montana, right now on a Owen, maybe you know about this, or maybe Habitat has not been contacted, but to put affordable housing upon state lands outside of the town of Sheridan, but I had heard the name Habitat for Humanity within that discussion, and just utilizing, you know, a 99-year lease on some state lands to facilitate it. As it is right now, you guys own 8 lots within the town of Ennis, and we do have a need for housing that's reasonably priced. I'm going to use that word because, yeah, it's tough, you know, as an employer. You know, I have to sometimes come up with solutions. I have a guy that lives in a trailer that I own, and I have a guy that lives in my old house that I also own, and that's taking care of two employees for myself, and the rest of the people are kind of trying to figure it out on their own, I guess. So.
I've heard it called workforce housing, which makes a lot of sense if you're talking to builders and saying, hey, get your trades to help us here. That means you're building a house that they could have a plumber live in,
Yeah.
or a teacher or whatever. So, I mean, there's a lot of appeal to builders in particular. They have the tools and they need people here. So it's kind of doing themselves a favor if they participate. Or their business is just the same.
And Habitat's all ears. I mean, if somebody's got, you know, another program besides CDBG or whatever, it's all ears. So, I mean, if there's whatever too. So, yeah. Anyways.
All right, we're going to check on our things, because that's my kind of breaking point, is if my eligibility for my water projects, for the town's water projects, like if we kind of don't have the infrastructure and the ability to seek those infrastructure grants.
If we can't provide water to the new houses, why would we build new houses?
Yeah. That foundation's definitely been the priority and needs to remain in the spotlight. So we'll check on that and let you know there, everybody know what we find out there. And then if this is annual, I hate putting it off because we need it, but I think we could come up with an amazing, legitimate plan. Well, like hopeless romantic in the back of my head. So right now in my mind, I'm picturing 7 brides for 7 brothers, barn raising, bless your beautiful. Don't laugh at me. You know where I'm going. This town has that ability to pull together and put a whole lot into it, and we've seen it time and time and time again.
It takes coordination.
But it takes one heck of a coordination. And I think if we get the right, like Corey said, committee together, we can get this lined out to drop the cost into something that's actually in the affordable realm. But it's just going to take a little bit of coordinating. But I don't want to seek grants that, if we can't reach that goal even with that chunk of money. You know what I mean? So first we'll see where we're at with the water. Next part is we're going after it, then committee, to get this thing rolling the way we do. when we get our little Love Wins bumper stickers out. See what I'm saying? Got a plan? At least a start of a plan. Might be a bad plan, but at least it's the start of something. But we got to figure out if we can do it first.
Colin, sorry, I don't mean to.
You're good.
Getting hold of you tomorrow. What's the best way to do that?
I won't be here
Okay.
Monday.
Monday works? Okay. And just here at the office?
Option 2 when you call from town.
2.
I should put my on speaker so I can listen in.
Okay. Nice.
Is that our plan? Does that sound good? Any ideas, thoughts?
Yeah, you need a construction savvy coordinator to help with
Corey already volunteered.
that. Some
Count me in.
structure.
See? And then
That cost of
I was like,
construction document together. Like
she's like,
Greg was
what?
saying,
Don't look at
the
me like
business
that.
plan As it relates to building these houses.
I'll look at Carla then. Business coordinator.
I mean, I just look at it as his other option is to sell it and there will be no affordable housing built there by anybody else. So.
We were just checking realtor.com a couple weeks ago and saw some of the pricing on there, similar comps-ish. It was 450, I think, what they were listed on there, in that range anyways. And anyways.
But 300 doesn't, 300 to 450 doesn't make it affordable.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, condo, okay.
Instead of Habitat for Humanity of Gallatin County, something like Habitat for Humanity of Ennis, is there a way of creating a different entity like that a builder here might be more appealing to, or a business? Because Gallatin just
Every time I
runs
drove
up
by.
the wall with a lot of people.
That's a bad
That's
word
our
around
enemy,
here.
not our ally.
I know we've talked about it, but I'm gonna have to dig into that a little bit more and see what. Yeah.
Because every time I drove by, I thought y'all were building a house for somebody that lived in Gallatin Valley. I mean, you lived over there. I didn't realize it was for over here.
It's kind of smoke and mirrors, but it would help like on the future projects that you start. I'd actually start the ones like across the street and out the other end and start it as Habitat for Humanity in Ennis, Montana.
Sweet.
Kind of like starting over and starting with a fresh page. And water.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll hear you Monday.
Sweet.
And we should have some know back by then too. And then we'll shoot an email on what we find. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you guys. Don't give me in that
Cool.
voice.
Ginger. Thank you.
Second.
Is that the end of our meeting?
And then
we were.
If you're on, sir.
That's it, Corey.
All right. Well,
Thank
gonna
you
go
for
grab
chiming
some
in.
dinner. Oh, of course. No, the good fun. Thank you guys for being
Go
there.
have some fun,
I
would
wish
you?
I was there. Yeah.
All right.
Fine, I
Have a
will.
good time. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good night, you guys.
Oh, so